Okay, so we're going for a rain ride again. And that's because, well, it's done nothing except rain for the last 3 weeks. And I put some Rain-X on this windshield. We'll see how that works. Plastic, it's Rain-X for plastic. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So I got 1,000 kilometers on this bike now. So I figured it was about time to review it. And overall, I really like this bike. It's interesting that people complain about it, that it's an old design. Because I mean, it's, you know, it was designed in 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. Katanga took it over and started building it somewhere around 2011. And you know, they've refined it ever since. But people complain that, you know, it is old. The bulk, however, you know, is brand spanking new design. It's very rigid, especially compared to this one. But in order to get what you get, there's a lot of sacrifices, right? This bike is very modular. It's very easy to maintain. Still lots of stuff on it that's harder than a bike. But have any of you seen my FDO conversion video where I changed up the cassette from 1140 to 1150? It's a couple hour job. This one, you take the rear cone off, which is a 5-minute job, pull the wheel off, change the cassette just like you would on a bike. So there's certain advantages to it, but you know, the big thing is it's sometimes the primitiveness, if you will, of the older technology is just better for some reasons, right? This bike is not as fast as the Bulk, nor near. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not that much slower, but the Bulk is faster. But the Bulk also is far more difficult to maintain in just about every way. This thing is pretty easy all the way around, and I find too that because it has very wide gear spread, all kinds of different gearing options, it's also very flexible for what I use it for, which essentially is for touring, right? The Bulk will be my training machine, and I'll use it for supported rides, and basically any time where speed is important, which is about half the time. But for touring and general utility, this thing's great. Because the other thing about it is, because the Bulk is not maintainable easily, if you break something weird in the field, you can't fix it. You know, like I carry brake cable, but in order to get out the brakes on the Bulk, you gotta pull the strut out. It's not exactly practical in the field. But this thing, you pull the wheel off, and the wheel's open, so you can even change a spring on this thing without taking the strut off. So there's advantages to that in my area, because I literally have the only two down somewhere, and by the way, bring a brake cable and some tools and we'll fix it. It doesn't work that way. So I do all my own work, but you can't do that in the field. So this bike you can. So the Bulk's not the one I'm taking out for touring. You know, where I'm out in the back and beyond by myself. In the case of supported rides where you got a sag wagon or something that'll come get you, different story, I can afford that. So overall, I really like it. I've got the Pinion C112 in it. It's a good gear spread. It's heavy. It doesn't have much losses. Like all German engineering, it's well engineered. Maintenance free. It just works. And the bike overall is pretty much the same. You know, Katanga's done a good job with them. And the fact that you know, they're still ordered up and sell after nearly 20 years. It's a good testament to how good the design is. I would say the same about the Quest. You know, lots of people out there still buy them. They're still ordered on a regular basis. And I've never seen a Quest. I've never been up close to it. But just the fact that so many people still order them and they like them, there's a lot of them around, would suggest to me that it was very well designed. And as near as I can figure, I mean, most of the parts that I pulled off the Bulk, you know, they don't look a whole lot different than what I see on this bike. The struts are the same. You know, the steering mechanism is pretty much the same. The way the bottom bracket works is kind of the same. You know, it's a sled on a 50mm square tube. On the Bulk, it's carbon fiber. On this thing, it's aluminum. But all in all, you know, so as far as I can see, the major difference between the more advanced models and these things is really about the fabrication and you know, because they're more rigid for sure, and the aerodynamics is more advanced. But from a technology perspective, they're not that different. Having a lot of opportunity nowadays too. We're now into day 3 of the carbon tax here in Canada, in Nova Scotia in particular. So gas went up 14 cents a litre. It's going up another 3 cents next weekend, and 3 some, 18 cents overall. So that 14 cents a litre for those of you Americans works out to about 50 American cents to a gallon, which is quite a bit. And then when we add in another 3 cents, you're going to look at another roughly 20 cents per gallon, 15 cents, something like that. So overall in 2 weeks, it will have gone up around 65 cents a gallon, plus whatever the market does. So there's a lot of pushback here around it because this is a rural province and we don't have a lot of choice. However, when people have choices, the carbon tax actually does work. You know, like in the larger metropolitan areas. Canada's kind of a funny country that way because roughly 90% of the population lives within 500 kilometers of the US border. And also a similar 90 and about 90% also live within 5 large metropolitan areas. So they have sophisticated transit systems, that sort of thing. And so you can actually force choices with a carbon tax. And I'm sure that's why there's not sort of widespread rebellion in Canada for having implemented it. But about 90% of the land area and about 10% of the population have no alternative. It's not a choice. It's simply a cost. And I happen to live in one of those areas. Because Nova Scotia is a rural province. It only has 2 cities. The largest city is Halifax, and the entire Halifax Regional Municipality would class as a small city anywhere. And Cape Breton has Sydney, which is even smaller. So they don't have sophisticated transit systems or a lot of interconnection. And so hugely challenging if you wanted to go car free. Also, because the weather sucks for half the year, there are a lot of people, except for the hardcores, who simply would not want to be riding bicycles as a practical form of transportation. Alright, entering the Velomobile. It's been raining for 3 weeks here, so a lot of people are complaining that they're not getting a lot of bike time because it's raining all the time, which is fine, because for me, I have been. As much as I'm not a fan of these hoods, they do work. So I've ridden pretty much every day, even though it's rained now for almost 3 weeks. So there's an opportunity, I think, especially with the price of gas going up. You know, a couple of days ago I went into the grocery store and this guy was giving me a hard time about the bike. Like, you know, shouldn't have that thing on the road. And I said, well, yeah, I can have it on the road. It's a bike. Well, you can or not. It's also about what you should, and you clearly shouldn't. I said my own opinion. I didn't have an answer to that. And then I saw him getting, you know, he just got out of a pickup truck. And I said, well, with this increase in gas, how much does it cost you to fill that truck up? And I already know the answer to that. It's about $170. And I said, Jesus. That's a week's worth of groceries for me. He said it was the same for him. I said, yeah, well, I've still got the $170 in my bank account. So I said, this thing costs exactly $0 to fill up. And in through the town, even though the speed limit's 50, most people don't do 50 there. In fact, the speed limit in Windsor is around 35 to 40, which I can easily do with this bike. And do it. And also, the Liberal government actually imposed it on food and transit. So it's not going to have the desired effect anyway. And all it does is drive inflation. But it does present an opportunity in the future for us. I mean, I've been on Cycling Nova Scotia for 7 years now, I guess, and advocating for roadways and bikeways, which is around safety and building of protected infrastructure, and also enforcement. And now there are opportunities for it. It's a matter of making it into practical transportation as opposed to just recreational or competitive, which is the problem. You know, Europe sees it as a practical form of transportation. North Americans see it as either recreational or competition. They don't see this as a practical form. So that's what we're trying to get to. And if we ever get to that, there's probably a place for velomobiles, because they are fast, which is one thing. They're practical in the sense that they can, they have a lot of storage. But for our area, they're also great for the weather protection, because Nova Scotia doesn't get a lot of snow. You know, there might be 7 or 8 days a year when there's enough snow on the road you wouldn't be able to ride a automobile. But those days, most people don't drive cars either, unless they absolutely have to. And you know, if you can replace car trips, then it becomes economically viable. So that's sort of my rant for the day, but I'm off my happy place at the moment. You know, traffic's not too bad today, and although it is raining, it's a bit of a pain, it's not super bad. And this tends to clear out my head when I do ride like this. I get a lot of pleasure out of it. And I'm not doing a practical ride today. Today is all about just getting out. And I'm not doing a long one, since I did a 50K yesterday, and Garmin's telling me that I'm supposed to rest today. So I'm only doing a 20K today, but give me 100K for the weekend. You're not bad this early in the season. Actually, a fair bit of wind out today too. The other thing about these things, you know, even with the headwind, I'm doing 46 kilometers an hour, tucked into a cocoon with this hood on. Not bad. So part of the reason why I decided to review this while I'm riding it is then it reminds you what it is you like and don't like about the bike. So what I like is it's practical, it's comfortable, and it's got a good gear spread. The only thing I don't like about it, and I'm going to change, is the lighting system. Other than that, it's a great bike. I really like it. I'm going to do the same type of review after I've ridden the Bulk for a while, after I finish the FPO conversion. bottom bracket tomorrow, and so I should have everything done by the end of the week, and hopefully get a good ride in next weekend, and see how we go. Well, good. So anyway, you know, even after another ride, these things are really hot with the hoods on though, so you can avoid riding with the hood on better. But in the rain, does the job. And but overall, the bike just performs really well. I really like it. It's got a really good gear spread. It's comfortable. I got lots of room in it. Does what I need it to do. So, you know, I'm a bulk ambassador, and certainly I want people to buy bulks for sure. But you know, it comes down to what you want it for. And if you're into touring in the back and beyond in North America, anywhere in North America really, because there's not that many people that do velomobiles, you can't go wrong with this bike. In the case of the bulk, it's pretty exhilarating to drive it. It's fast, it's rigid, it climbs like a billy goat. It's a performer for sure. But you know, when we're doing the side-by-side comparison, if I was headed out the back and beyond, especially over land, I didn't know, you know, how bad it was going to be. I'd take this one any day. You know, this is a good alternative. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you like the content of this video, please hit a like or leave me some comments so I know it's important to you and I keep making videos that you want to see. And if you like my channel, then hit subscribe.